The execution was broadcast across every inhabited system in the Galactic Empire. 3 human generals, Commander Sarah Chen, General Victoria Cross, and Admiral Petra Volkov, knelt before the tribunal on the Obsidian Plaza of Throne World 7. Their crime: refusing to surrender Earth's remaining colonies to Imperial jurisdiction. The Crithian Emperor, his chitinous crown gleaming under artificial suns, raised one crystalline talon. Let this serve as a message to all who would defy the eternal rule of the Empire. 3 plasma bolts. 3 bodies falling. 3 sparks that would ignite an inferno. Frankie watched the execution from the cramped cockpit of his salvage ship, the Rusty Nail, his hands trembling with barely contained rage. Beside him, his partner Millie sat perfectly still, her expression carved from ice. Only her eyes betrayed her. They burned with something ancient and terrifying. "Millie," Frankie began, but she was already moving. "Get us to the outer rim," she said, her voice flat and mechanical. "The cache. We're going to the cache." Frankie had known Millie for 7 years. They'd run salvage operations together, dodged pirates, and once outmaneuvered an Imperial destroyer. He'd seen her laugh at impossible odds and talk her way out of situations that should have ended in their deaths. But he'd never seen her like this. He'd certainly never heard her mention any cache. "What cache?" he asked, already plotting the jump coordinates. "When Millie used that tone, you didn't argue. You obeyed." "The one my grandmother told me about before she died," Millie replied, pulling up a star chart encrypted with codes Frankie didn't recognize. "She said if humanity ever faced extinction, if they ever went too far." She paused, fingers hovering over the console. "She said to wake the Baba Yaga." "That's a fairy tale," Frankie said. Though his voice lacked conviction, so were humans, until we showed the galaxy otherwise. The Outer Rim facility had been abandoned for 3 centuries, hidden in the gravitational shadow of a collapsed neutron star. The radiation should have made it impossible to approach, but Millie navigated through the death zone with coordinates that defied every sensor reading. Inside, the station still had power. Emergency lights flickered to life as they docked, illuminating corridors lined with warnings in a dozen human languages. Authorized personnel only biohazard level 10. Project Baba Yaga. Final sanction protocols. "Millie, what is this place?" Frankie demanded, drawing his plasma pistol more from instinct than any real sense it would help. "During the first contact wars, before humanity joined the Galactic Council, we were losing," Millie explained, moving through the facility like she'd memorized the layout. "We were outgunned, outnumbered, out-everythinged. So Earth's governments authorized a program, Project Baba Yaga, a weapon of last resort. They reached a vault door inscribed with warnings that made Frankie's blood run cold." Millie pressed her palm against the scanner and something in her skin glowed. Nanomachines he'd never known she carried. Legacy code from an age of desperate survival. The door opened. Inside was a woman. Or what had once been a woman. She floated in a suspension field, her body augmented with technology that made Imperial war forms look primitive. Neural interfaces crawled across her skull like silver ivy. Her arms ended not in hands but in weapon systems that seemed to shift and reconfigure even in stasis. Her eyes, cybernetic and ancient, snapped open. "Activation code required," the woman's voice echoed, synthesized and terrifying. Millie's voice didn't waver. "Victoria Cross, Petra Volkov, Sarah Chen. 3 generals. Murdered." The woman smiled, and it was the smile of something that had forgotten how to be human, but remembered perfectly how to wage war. "Activation code accepted. Baba Yaga operational. Awaiting target parameters. The Galactic Empire," Millie said simply. "Specifically everyone responsible for the execution." "Work your way up." Frankie grabbed Millie's arm. "You can't unleash this." "Do you know what you're doing?" Millie turned to him, and for the first time since watching the execution, her expression softened slightly. "My grandmother was Victoria Cross's daughter, Frankie. That was my great-aunt they murdered on live broadcast. And before that, they glassed New Kenya. Before that, they bombed the Mars colonies. Before that," her voice cracked, "before that, they did 1,000 things that should have ended with someone doing this. We tried peace. We tried diplomacy. We tried everything. So you're choosing genocide?" Frankie asked, horrified. "I'm choosing justice," Millie corrected. "Baba Yaga doesn't target civilians." That was hard-coded into her programming. She goes after military targets, command structures, and leadership. She was designed to decapitate empires, not slaughter innocents. But she was also designed to be so effective, so terrifying, that no one would ever push humanity to the edge of extinction again. The woman, Baba Yaga, stepped from her suspension field, systems activating one by one. Empire analysis complete. Strategic targets identified. 847 Imperial command stations, 3 426 warships, 89 throne worlds, 1 emperor. Estimated time to complete mission, 47 standard days. 47 days to dismantle the largest empire in galactic history? Frankie whispered. Baba Yaga's smile widened. I was built by a species that went from wooden ships to splitting atoms in less than 2 centuries. 47 days is conservative. As Baba Yaga's ship, a stealth destroyer that had been hidden beneath the station, roared to life, Frankie watched his entire understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy restructure itself. They weren't the clever underdogs who'd talked their way into galactic civilization. They were the species that had built a monster and locked it away, hoping they'd never need it. Will she stop? He asked Millie quietly. After the Empire? She'll stop when the mission is complete, Millie assured him. That's what she was programmed to do. Complete the mission, then return to stasis. That's what makes her different from a weapon of mass destruction. She's targeted, precise, terrifying but controlled. Across the galaxy, Imperial commanders began reporting impossible losses. Entire fleets disappeared. Command stations went dark. The Emperor's own throne world found its shields inexplicably offline moments before a precision strike eliminated the palace. No one saw the attacker. They only saw the results. Within those 47 days, the Galactic Empire fractured, not because of civilian uprising or military defeat in conventional terms, but because every leader, every admiral, every decision-maker who'd approved atrocities against humanity simply vanished. The galaxy called it divine retribution. They called it chaos. They called it the end times. Humanity called it Baba Yaga. And in the outer rim, Millie and Frankie watched as the woman who was no longer quite human returned to her vault. Mission complete, settling back into stasis with a final message. Target parameters satisfied. 3 generals avenged, awaiting next activation. Sleep well, humanity. I'll be here if you need me. As the vault sealed, Frankie turned to Millie. So we're just the species that keeps a monster in the closet? Millie considered this, then shook her head. No. We're the species that built justice with a kill switch and prays we never have to use it again. That's what makes us human. The empire that had executed 3 women learned too late what humanity had known for centuries. Some lines, once crossed, unleash forces that cannot be reasoned with. Only survived if you're very, very lucky, and